Hello traders, welcome back to a new Funded Trading Plus episode. Today I'm joined with Simon, the CEO of Funded Trading Plus, and we're going to review some accounts past, failed and currently in progress. So this first trader is Stephen from Jamaica. Over to you, Simon.
Hello, Josh. How you doing? I've not done these for some time, really, looking at our new dashboard as well. I just had to familiarise myself with it. It's been a long time coming, but it looks good. It looks good. Right. So this person has obviously failed to hit their maximum drawdown. Now, he did initially make some profit. They got up to sort of 12,535, so it had a little bit there. But I think there's a couple of issues here. I mean, it's spaced out a decent amount. You're 24 trading days. It's nearly a month, depending on how they were spaced out, and they've taken 29 trades. There's a couple of issues here. First is the win percentage is quite low. They've only won 8 trades and they've lost 21. Now, that doesn't necessarily matter. Like, if you win 8 trades and you've got a 5-to-1 risk-reward ratio and you're losing trades are only a 1-to-1 sort of risk-reward ratio, so you're gaining 5 times as much on your winners as you are losers, then that could still work statistically, or different permutations of that. But the problem is, we can see here, and this is why we provide this data that's really important, is that his average win is 27, but then his average loss is $44. So his average loss is significantly high, not quite double, but not too far away from it. So if you're losing nearly twice as many trades and you're losing nearly twice as much money, not quite, then you're not going to be performing very well, unfortunately. So he needs to sort of revisit his strategy. You can see here a little bit of sideways action, and then really sort of gone down there with the P&L. Just looking through the trades. It's this one here, this sort of USD CAD at one lot. I mean, I think that's the highest position size. Obviously, with FX, different lot sizes mean different values, but that does stand out to me as been a larger leverage trade. And he's losing $140, which on our smallest account size, a $12,500 account, that's really far too much to sell. I mean, what I recommend for this trader really is to maybe, if they take another evaluation account, is just absolutely ratchet down the sorts of trading sizes, because they've got a small sample here of trades. They really need to be taking 50 trades, maybe 100 trades, to give the frequency of taking them, and then just go through them and just start doing some analysis. What's losing, what's winning, get a trade journal, get a trade log, and just try and see, rather than thinking, this evaluation account is maybe to pass, or maybe it's a case of we use this evaluation account to sort of gather some data, gather some intelligence on their trading, and try and figure out what's going right for them and what's going wrong.
Yeah, so would you say Stephen's biggest mistake here was simply the risk management side of his trading? Like, you can see there, he's maybe got off to a bit of a poor start with losing a few on the trot, which is normal, and then that big loss, like you mentioned, the USD CAD, the big loss at $140. Would you say like risk management was his biggest mistake, or something that he could work on next?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you could argue strategy appears to be a mistake. I mean, there's 29 trades there. I mean, okay, it is possible you can have a really foul sequence of losers versus winners, unless you are trading a very high risk reward strategy for your winning trades. But so I think really what he needed to do was just sort of de-risk and leave himself the opportunity to take maybe 100 trades, 150 trades, and then there's some sort of analysis there. You can go away, maybe pause for a while, go through all these trades and try and figure out what's working, what's not working for me, both in terms of the trading strategy, because it's difficult to see what that actually was here, but also the average loss versus average winner, and then just sort of maybe prioritize the most egregious mistakes. It's like, well, okay, every time I go long on a euro pound, so then it's not really working very well for me, so I need to look at what that strategy is and just sort of compartmentalizing it and breaking it into different sections and sort of figuring out what went wrong.
Yeah, amazing. That's absolutely amazing. And do you think, their final question is, do you think there's potential here, or do you think Stephen needs to go back to the drawing board and look at his strategy, look at his risk management again, or do you believe there is potential here for him to do better next time?
There's certainly potential for him to do better, but I think he's at the stage where it's like, it really need to be looking at those fundamental things. It's not nowhere near fine-tuning. It's nowhere near thinking, well, I'm probably going to pass an evaluation unless there's some sort of luck involved. It's a case of going back to the real fundamentals, the real core, and just sort of figuring out what is actually the strategy and does it actually work in the market conditions. I mean, of course, what's even more challenging in the current context is because of the insane volatility led by Trump and the tariffs primarily, that you could easily have things that have worked in the past that don't work now. So it might be a case of, well, this would previously work for me, I just need to wait till the market conditions change. Or it might be a case of, well, the market conditions have changed, I need to change and adapt. So that always adds an extra layer of complexity to things as well.
Yeah, that's perfect. Thank you so much for your feedback, Simon. And I hope that helps Stephen from Jamaica. Thank you for uploading your dashboard with the public URL feature on your dashboard. If you also want to get your dashboard reviewed by Simon, the CEO, please upload your dashboard using the form in the description. The next account that we're moving on to is from a trader called Davrin from Slovenia. This is also a $12,500 account, and this account is currently active. So I'm excited to see your feedback on this, Simon.
Yeah, it's an interesting this one. I mean, it's almost, thanks to a previous account we reviewed when talking about taking a bit more time, this is possibly a bit extreme, but 315 days of trading now. Number of trades 48, trades won 26, trades lost 22. Average winning trade is 47, average losing trade is 42. So you've got this is a pretty good combination. So you've got a slightly bigger average winner, but you've also got more winners than losers. So you do have an edge there. Not necessarily the biggest edge in the world, but you still have an edge there. So we can see quite a decent drawdown there. But you can see a very significant number of days traded here, and this person is 17.94% towards their profit target. So I think for me, slightly bigger, with some good winners, some good losers here. You can see some of these average ones are 10 hours, 2 hours. I mean, perhaps this person, is working full time or something like that. Because I was expecting to see some really sort of long-term swing trades here. I mean, what are the longest trades here? So we've got some that go on for 8 days and 5 days, but they're not particularly. So I was expecting them to hold the trades for a lot longer, really. So maybe they're trading in and out of a full-time job to still have taken this over 315 days, and they're only logging on when they can. I mean, I think this person needs to decide whether they think they have an edge or not, and whether they can pass this test or not. And if they do, they probably want to be upping the risk very slightly. Maybe in this, if they're confident they're still going to manage the risk, rather than having sort of average trade nearly $50, $42, maybe get that up to 70, maybe 80. They can obviously calculate what that based on what the drawdown. Because they've got enough drawdown history here to figure out how much risk they can take based on this sample size. So for me, it's a case of, well, if you've only done 20%, and you don't want to be taking 4 or 5 years, do you, to pass your evaluation test? So I think it might be a case of maybe just being a little bit braver, maybe considering upping that risk a little bit, and then just seeing if they can start heading towards that profit target a little bit quicker. Unless, like I say, they're using this as something to test their strategies, as something to develop their trading psychology, and it's just used as a tool for that, then fair enough.
Yeah, amazing. And would you say that you see this as consistency, or does this feel a bit experimental to you, based on the trade history?
I'd say it looks relatively consistent. I mean, I'm not looking at the trades in the platform and sort of eyeballing the dashboard here, but there are some variations in. I mean, the volume's relatively consistent. With the highest we're getting to is 0.5. I mean, again, lot sizes do vary across instruments, so it's not always the same level of risk. But the losses, the magnitude of wins and losses, biggest. I mean, that's quite a big loss there. But maybe it got caught out. When was that? Okay, that was last year. But maybe some sort of event. I mean, that is quite a big loss. That sort of averages, pulls the average down, and there's not been a big win like that. So maybe that's a bit of a mistake on that oil trade there for whatever reason. Maybe there's some news or something. But the magnitude of wins and losses seems relatively similar, as we'd expect, because the average winning trade and losing trade are similar to each other. So without, like I say, looking at specific charts to decipher a strategy, it does look like they are on the right track. They've got a long time period trade over a lot of different market conditions, particularly at the moment. And they do have a positive expectancy based on the fact they win more trades than they lose. The average trade's bigger than the average losing trade. Maybe just want to focus on those 3 big losses and reflect particularly on that oil trade, whether there's anything that could be done there. But I think it's maybe time for them just to sort of increase their risk slightly and start heading towards that profit target. So like I say, if you extrapolate round up to 20% every 315 days, you're going to be looking at 4 and a bit years. So it's going to take some time for them to complete. So I think it's kind of getting a move on with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thanks a lot for reviewing Davrin's account from Slovenia, and thank you, Davrin, for uploading your account to our form. If you want to do the same, the link is in the description. We're going to move on to a trader who has passed their evaluation next. Let's go. And to finish off the account review, we're going to be reviewing Farizal's account from Indonesia. This is a past $12,500 account. What's your first thought, Si?
Yeah, so this one is a pass. It's as a man after my own heart. Just trades the US 30. That was NASDAQ, S&P, and US 30 were my go-tos when I was doing more sort of derivatives trading rather than the boring longer term investments I tend to do these days because I'm so busy. So number of trades 46, took 8 days to pass. Trades 125.21. So again, we've got a positive win percentage. As I've said previously, that's not necessarily essential. It depends on how your average winner is and your average loser. But we have the holy grail here. We have average trades 1 that are high, and we also have the average winning trade of $125, the average losing trade of $90 as well. So we've got a positive win percentage and a positive sort of average winning trade versus average losing trade, which is really good. And sometimes, it looks like this person just specializes in one thing from this evaluation account. We're looking at over 46 trades. They're all, I believe, on the US 30. Volume possibly a fraction high here. 2-3 lots on a 12.5k account, particularly in the current volatility. These were taken sort of April when it was all going a bit crazy. Is probably a fraction too high. For me, I'd say probably pushing it just a little bit too high. Maybe sticking. Look at the bigger. Got some good wins though on that 3 lots here, 270, 285, 340. So they have taken advantage of the volatility. Like I said, if it was someone I was mentoring or coaching, I'd say, look, you've obviously got something that's working, a system that's working for you over these 46 trade. I'd probably just dial it down a little bit less just to try and take that sort of risk of ruining, risk of something unexpected happening, particularly in the time he was trading during over the carnage of the tariffs. But fair play to him. He's passed it very nicely.
Would you change anything in his risk model before going into their simulated funded account?
Yeah, as I just sort of alluded to there, I'd just sort of bring the volumes down a little bit, maybe half them. What I try and say to traders is, there's no rush to make your money. How long do you want to hold your trading account for? Do you want to have it for a few days and just try and make a quick buck, or do you want it something that's sustaining, that's potentially a reliable source of income for you, subject to how you trade it, and obviously the way we allow scaling as well. You can turn a 12.5k account into a 100k account, which we've seen on many occasions by going through the scaling steps. So I don't necessarily see the rush in that respect. Maybe evaluation, they've dialed it up a little bit more because it's an evaluation, and maybe on the funded account they would. But if I was having a one-to-one with this person, I'd say, look, just take your time, just turn it down a little bit, and just keep that longer term perspective. You're not thinking in terms of days, you're thinking in terms of weeks and months with your funded account. So you try and avoid that boom and bust cycle.
Yeah, amazing. And obviously passing evaluation can be quite a happy feeling for traders, but what would you say one of the biggest dangers are that traders face once they pass an evaluation and they actually do move into the funded accounts, simulated funded accounts?
So I think psychologically it is quite different. The evaluation, when I used to, back in the day when I started developing Funded Trading Plus and I was trading the very few people who are out there, it was mainly futures firms. The psychology to me on the valuation, the funded account felt quite similar, which I think was a little bit unusual. But I think for most people, an evaluation account feels like a demo account as such, although you still do have your fee on the line, so maybe it's a balance. But I think when I'm talking to people, they can find that their funded account feels like a full fat real account, and despite it being simulated, and because they know they can withdraw from it, and they think that it changes the way they trade. They get nervous, they don't trade quite as freely and things like that. So I think it's really important for people when they do pass an evaluation account, particularly those who may have had a few attempts, to really sort of be self-aware and conscious that you can trade and you can feel quite differently on your funded accounts. We see people trade brilliantly on the evaluation accounts, and then it ends up a bit of a disaster on the funded account. It's like, well, what happened? It's like, well, it just got away from me, and then you try and examine the psychology, and it's a lot of work that like Andrew does for the education and one-on-ones. He doesn't exact way he discusses these things. So yeah, it's a good question, and that's my thoughts on it.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Simon. That wraps up this account review episode for a past evaluation with Farizal from Indonesia. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. If you want your Funded Trading Plus account to be reviewed by Simon on the next episode, please upload it to the form down below in the description, and we'll make sure Simon gets to it in one of the future episodes. So thank you so much. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.